Is your class safe or should you reroll in the upcoming class tuning that is going to happen on the 30th of October? So very shortly. In this video, we're going to find out everything that you guys need to know about. Hi, my name is CYGAqvgeoHLefPLb, and if you like this kind of content, please hit the subscribe button because I kind of want to reach my 15K subscriber goal. We're not that far from hitting that goal. So with that being said, let's just go over all the patch notes, and this is crazy, okay? Most of you are going to be happy about them, and rip Ali Shami basically. So let's go over all of them. For the classes, okay, we've got Death Knight, Blood Decay. Blood Boil damage increased by 15%. Pretty good. Earth Strike damage increased by 20%. Blood Plague damage increased by 10%. Death Strike damage increased by 20%. Overall, Blood Decay players will be super happy with this change. Even their healings actually got buffed. Vampiric Strike proc chance increased to 35%, was 25%. Essence of the Blood Queen duration increased to 25 seconds, okay, up from 20 seconds. Gift of the Sand Lane increases the effectiveness of Essence of the Blood Queen by 200%, was 150%. So we might see a return for Blood Decays on the battlefield. All right, let's go over the next changes. Druid. Oh, this is interesting. Balance Druid. The goals of these changes are to increase single target damage and to even out the power of the talents in Balance Spec 3. Provide as much build flexibility to players as possible. We want the power of Goldrin to be an effective single target pick, and we'd like talents like Touch of the Cosmos and Hail of Stars to be more competitive with our options. I mean, Power of Goldrin was kind of dead. I'm gonna be honest, it deals 0 damage, so I want to see that ability, that passive, actually dealing meaningful damage again. Celestial Alignment and Incarnation, choosing of Elune once again reset at the end of the raid encounters. Starfall damage increased by 6%. Pretty good. Starfall was kind of bad, honestly. Star Surge damage increased by 8%. Oh, it does not apply to PvP combat. Starfire damage increased by 5%. Starfire like hits for nothing. Wrath damage increased by 10%. Wrath hits for nothing. Shooting Stars and Crashing Stars damage increased by 20%. Honestly, it deals like maybe 7% of your overall damage. Nah, like 5%, man. Sunseeker Mushrooms grow 12% less often. That's kind of bad, man. That's kind of sad. Touch of the Cosmos, chance to proc increased to 15% from Wrath and 22% from Starfire. Nobody's playing that ability anyways. Power of Goldrin's damage increased by 25%. Does not apply to PvP combat. Okay. Rattle the Stars increases Starfall and Star Surge damage by 8%, down from, okay, you're buffing Starfall and then you're nerfing Rattle the Stars. New Moon and Half Moon damage reduced by 5%. Okay, those abilities were hitting for crazy bad numbers anyways. Like, nobody's playing New Moon, Half Moon, and PP. Nobody. Restoration. Call of the Elder Druid's duration increased to 15 seconds, was 10 seconds. That sounds amazing. Dream of Scenarios now causes Wrath and Shred to transfer 100%, was 50%. Of their damage done into healing in Starfire, and Swipe to transfer 50% of their damage done into healing, was 33%. Okay, interesting. We're looking to increase the playability of Dream of Scenarios, as the window for Heart of the Wild is a bit too short to be meaningful. I don't see many druids, many restoration druids using Heart of the Wild anyways. That's kind of weird. I wonder what Blizzard is doing, honestly. And then we've got Beast Mastery. Okay, so basically what this text means is Bleak Powder is meant to complement AoE situations, not force the usage of AoE in single target situations. Okay, so Bleak Powder no longer damages its primary target. Bleak Powder does not deal that much damage, let's be honest. Pack Leader, Frenzied Tear proc chance reduced to 10%, was 20%. Wow, huge 10% nerf. Pack Leader, Vicious Hunt damage reduced by 10%. Again, huge nerf for Beast Mastery. Beast Mastery is overperforming in single target. That's kind of true a little bit, and we'd like to reduce its single target while improving its lackluster AoE. Okay. Barb shot damage reduced by 25%. Holy heck. Stomp damage increased by 50%. Okay, there we go. Single target nerf. And then we've got AoE damage buff. Multi-shot damage increased by 100%. So it's going to be super, super lame in PvP. Maybe for PvE it's going to be awesome, but for PvP it's going to suck super hard. Explosive Venom now procs at 3 stacks was 5. Okay, good. And will appropriately apply Serpent Sting to enemies regardless of their distance to the caster. Okay. Marksmanship. Dark Ranger. Okay, guys, they literally killed Dark Ranger. You guys don't know about this, maybe, but they had a couple of stealth nerfs. Okay, Blizzard usually do that. They literally just nerf a class to the ground, and the changes are not shown on the patch note. Okay, but let's read what happened. Dark Ranger is overperforming in single target, and we're looking to reduce it while compensating with some AoE buffs to keep the AoE performance roughly the same. Right now, Marksmanship is kind of weird, man. Your aim shots deal no damage. Like, even your freaking Dark Arrow does not deal that much damage. They both got stealth nerf. Black Arrow damage reduced by 10%. Bleak Powder damage increased by 25%. Again, Bleak Powder deals 0 damage. Shadow Surge damage is increased by 25%. That one deals a little bit more damage, but it's not going to be meaningful. Symphonic Arsenal lost more bite than intended from the removal of Eagle Talons through focus. Sentinel Symphonic Arsenal damage increased by 50%. We might see the return of Sentinel, because I never see a single player playing Sentinel right now. So overall, Marksman is looking kind of weird right now. They're going to need a change or something. All right, so Mistweaver. Oh boy. Oh boy. All healing increased by 6%. Are you kidding me, Blizzard? That is crazy, dude. Awakened Jadefire now causes Spinning Crane Cape to transfer 110% of damage done was 90%. So Fistweavers are going to be super happy with that change for sure. Jadefire Teachings now increases Ancient Teachings by an additional 160% was 140%. Okay, 20% increase. Rushing Wind Kicks damage increased by 150%, and Russian Winds now increases Renewing Mist healing by 100% for its duration. Wow, huge 50% buff right there, boys. Yulong's Whisper healing increased by 400%. Oh, Jade Ball now increases Mastery. Gust of Misses healing by 20% was 60%. Okay, that's a little bit of a nerf right there. Kind of a huge nerf, in fact. We're excited that the Chi-G Mastery build exists and is powerful in the right conditions. But its output has been above where we're comfortable. We're decreasing the effectiveness of this build without breaking the cooldown reduction gameplay to keep the same feel and blah 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 blah, a bunch of garbage just to, you know, a free get out of jail card basically. But it's typical Blizzard stuff right there. Overall, I would say Mistweaver monks are going to be super happy about that. Okay, Pallies, let's read that. Holy Pallies mana has been plentiful enough to use Beacon of Virtue more often than we would like. Throughout a raid encounter, we would like the use of Beacon of Virtue to influence mana decisions more heavily. Honestly, Beacon of Virtue is so fun to use. I wish it was like, I wish they would not touch it, honestly. Beacon of Virtue now costs 5% base mana. Was 4%, not that bad. Holy Shock now costs 2.8% base mana. Was 2.6. It's not that bad, but in the long run, it's going to make a huge difference. Yep. Discipline. We're increasing Discipline's direct healing throughput to help situations where no enemy target is present, trigger Atonement. We would also like to notch Discipline's performance up in raid, particularly for Oracle. Okay. Power Word Radiance healing increased by 20%. Whoa! Discipline is incredibly hard to shut down. It's super insane. It's really good in solo queue RPGs. It's going to be even harder to take down those. So if you want a super good healer for solo queue RPGs, boys, Mistweaver and Preservation, Evoker, Discipline, they're the top 3 healers. Absolutely impossible to kill. Even like 3 DPSs hitting a Discipline Priest, it takes forever to take him down. So Flash healing increased by 15%. Again, insane. Premonition of PD increases. Healing done by 20% was 15%. So 5% increase. Preemptive care increases atonement duration by 4 seconds was 3 seconds. Oh, we've got something massive for Shadow Priest. Psychic Link now causes direct damage to inflict 30% of damage dealt to targets afflicted by Vampiric Touch. That's kind of huge, guys. There's so many freaking Shadow Priest rerollers right now. Shadow Priest is looking to be super strong. I cannot wait to actually see the PvP changes, because there's a lot of PvP changes further down this patch now. Rogue Master Assassin. Critical strike chance granted during effect reduced to 20% was 25%. Okay. I don't see that many assassination rogues nowadays. You actually see so many subtlety. Assassination is looking kind of weird right now. I'm gonna be honest, guys. Shaman, okay, neat stuff. Ally Shami, Elemental. With all the changes to Ally and Enhancement Shaman in patch 11.0.5, some changes were performing beyond our tuning goals. No shit. We're adjusting several talents and abilities to reduce their overall power. So, sorry about that. Ally Shami mains. Farseer Ancestor Chain Lightning damage increased by 40%, not applied to PvP combat. It's going to be better in PvE, but not in PvP. Farseer Ancestor Lava Burst damage increased by 15%, not applied to PvP combat. We'll just wait to see the PvP changes, guys. You're going to cry. Farseer Ancestor Elemental Blast damage increased by 15%, not applied to PvP combat. Stormbringer Arc Discharge now grants 1 instant cast. Chain Lightning, a lightning bolt was 2. Oh my gosh, that is so bad, bro. Nobody's gonna play Stormbringer. It's already not really that good in PvP anyways. Stormbringer Voltaic Surge now increases Earthquake and Chain Lightning damage by 5%. Was 15%. Oh gosh, bro. Echo Chamber now increases the damage of Elemental Overlords by 20%, was 40%. Again, the Stormbringer is looking super bad. Ascendance now increases the damage of Elemental Overloads by 100%, while active was 150. So huge nerf for your Overloads. Preeminence now increases haste by 20%, while Ascendance is active. Again, 5% nerf. Ice-Fury now increases Frost Shock damage by 200%, was 150%. They're moving the damage from your Overloads and everything else back to Ice Fury and Frost Shock. So bad. It makes sense, but the gameplay is just so bad. Just spamming Frost Shock, dude. Enhancement. With all the changes to Ally and Enhancement Shaman, some changes were, again, that's the same text. Basically saying they're OP, winning to nerf them. Lightning Bolt damage reduced by 10%, not applied to PvP combat. Chain Lightning damage reduced by 10%, again not applied to PvP. Stormbringer Tempest damage reduced by 15%, okay, not applied to PvP. Resto Druid Farseer, again same change like Ally Shami. Ancestor Lava Burst damage increased by 15%, not applied to PvP combat. Alright, so let's read about the Warlocks. Basically saying that Demo needs to get more demonic cores to make it like more mobile. Okay, makes sense, because Demo Warlock is kind of super bad at the moment. And honestly, Affliction has been pumping super hard, but I kind of want to see more Demo Warlock in PvP. That would be awesome, man. Demo is so fun to play. And then we've got Affliction. Hellcaller. Wither damage increased by 25%. Again, not in PvP. Agony damage increased by 15%. not in PvP. Corruption damage increased by 25%. Whoa! Not in PvP. Unstable affliction damage by 20%. Again, not in PvP. But overall, Hellcaller is getting a huge freaking buff. Actually, we might see more affliction Warlocks playing Hellcaller. Okay, Demo Warlock. Dread Stalkers now have 100% chance to generate a demonic core. Was 50%, so you're going to be spamming that demonic core. Grimoire Felgar damage is now increased by 125%, was 60%. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Hand of Golden damage increased by 25%. Good, because we're spamming that Hand of Golden so hard. Dread Stalkers damage increased by 20%. So those changes are going to be in PvP too. So we might see Demo Warlock back. It feels like having more demonic cores will actually feel super good, especially with the amount of melees that are trying to murder you. It's going to be a little bit easier to generate those shards. Destruction. Hellcaller Wither damage increased by 25%, not in PvP. Chaos Bolt damage, wow, 10% buff. Evil-like damage increased by 25%. I wonder if it's going to increase the damage of Wither. Incinerate damage increased by 20%. Conflagrate damage increased by 25%, not in PP though. Rain of Fire damage increased by 20%. So, kind of huge Warlock buffs. Wow, straight out the box. That's pretty good, man. And then we've got Warrior. Execute damage increased by 10%. It's pretty good. Warrior is kind of underperforming right now. We've got Arms. Okay, Colossus. Demolish single target. Damage increased by 15%. You don't see that many people playing Demolish anyways. Then we've got Slayer. Reap the Storm damage increased by 25%. This change does not affect PvP combat. And then we've got Slayer Strike damage increased by 15%. So that is going to be in PvP. Okay, a huge increase in PvP right here. Mortar Strike damage increased by 15%. Wow. Overpower damage increased by 15%. Dreadnought damage increased by 15%. Cleave damage increased by 20%. Arms is going to be super nasty, guys. So you might want to reroll your Fury Warrior into Arms. That's basically what it is, honestly. Fury Warrior, oh, PvP versus player right there. Cannot wait. Fury, Slayer, Reap the Storm damage increased by 25%. This does not affect PvP combat. Slayer Strike damage increased by 15. Whoa! Mountain Tane. Lightning Strike damage increased by 30%. Whoa! So this is in PvP, guys. Right there. Bloodthirst damage has increased by 20%. Bloodbath damage increased by 20%. Rampage damage increased by 10%. Wow. So they're moving the damage away from your wars. And they're giving it back in your normal rotation. Okay? That's basically what they're doing. They're just moving the damage around. Protection, Colossus, Demolish, single target damage increased by 15%. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, they kind of nerfed Fury Warrior so hard. They literally murdered a spec and then they're trying to bring it back by giving them, like, you know, more damage on their baseline abilities. It is what it is. You guys might be, you guys might want to reroll into Arms, honestly. And then we've got player versus player changes. Let's go. Druid. Right, so fix an issue where frenzied regeneration was being reduced more than intended. It should now correctly heal for 5% health every second. It was 3%, so it's going to be a little better, but honestly, balance. If you're playing balance right now, you know what I'm talking about. You literally get one-shotted. You cannot do 1 versus 1. It's super hard right now. Your damage is kind of dumb good, but your survivability is just so bad. And if we've got Feral, it's not gonna do much, guys. Don't worry about it. Balance is not gonna be insane after this buff. Feral, Berserk, and Incarnation. Valor of a Shaman now increased damage by 10% in PvP combat was 15%. So 5% nerf right there. King of the Jungle increases healing received and movement speed by 30% per stack was 5%. Okay, now stacks up to 3 times, was 4 times. That's kind of a huge nerf, honestly. survivability for Feral was super good. It's gonna take, I would say it's maybe a 6-7% nerf right off. Hunter, Beast Mastery, Dark Ranger, Bleak Powder's damage reduced by 30% in PvP combat. Oh my gosh, dude. Dark Ranger, Withering Fire's additional black arrows are now cast at 25% effectiveness, was 50%. Honestly, they're kind of making weird changes for Hunter right now. Dark Ranger, Bleak Powder's damage reduced by 30% in PvP combat. Okay. Dark Ranger, Withering Fire's additional black arrows are now cast at 25% effectiveness, was 50%. So 25% nerf right there for Marksmanship Hunter. Monk, Mistweaver, Jade, Empowerment now causes Crackling Jade Lightning to chain to 2 additional enemies, was 4 in PvP combat. Not a huge change. Not a super huge change, I feel like. Paladin, Holy Herald of the Sun, Blessings of Enshi now increase the healing of Holy Shock by 150%. Whoa, 50% nerf right there. Herald of the Sun, Eternal Flame healing decreased by 10% in PvP combat. Whoa, 10% nerf and 50% nerf. Lightsmith, Blessed Assurance now increases Crusader Strike's damage by 40% in PvP combat, was 100. Oh, that's a buff right there. But yeah, it does not deal that much damage. I mean, I've seen a couple of melee Holy Pallies, but it was not that bad. They're not that strong, so it might actually bring back the freaking melee Holy, if you know what I mean. Word of Glory healing decreased by 10% in PvP combat. Okay, kind of a huge nerf. Mana regen decreased by 25% in PvP combat, was 20%. Whoa. Blessing of Summer now transfers 12% of healing into damage in PvP combat, was 18%. So that's again kind of a huge nerf, 6% nerf. Hammer of Wrath damage increased by 30%. Judgment damage increased by 30%. Wow. Okay. Wow. That's Holy Pally. Okay, weird. Crusader Strike damage increased by 30%. Avenging Crusade now transfers 200 of the damage into healing, was okay. Wow, they're literally, it's so weird, man. They literally buff something so it makes your spec better, but they nerf something else and it like literally equals up. It's literally just changing the board and doing nothing basically. They literally did pretty much nothing there in terms of damage. It's kind of weird. We've got Discipline. We would like to make some adjustment to Discipline's hero talents to make Void Weaver slightly more rewarding, since it requires a lot of cast time spells to dish out healing. Oracle's single target healing is also being slightly reduced. Okay. Void Heart increases Atonement healing by 30%, was 20%. Whoa. Wow, so 10% increase. Premonition of Celeste reduces damage taken by 10% in PvP combat, was 15%. Okay, that's survivability nerf right there. 5%. Celeste Absorption decreased by 15% in PvP combat. Whoa, okay, that's kind of a nerf right there. 15%, wow, that's kind of a huge nerf. Holy Renew healing increased by 20% in PvP combat. Okay. That's kind of a huge nerf again. Prayer of Mending healing increased by 10%. A little bit of a buff, but kind of a huge nerf. Renew, like you need to spam that ability as a Holy Priest. Shadow, okay, very, very interesting. The following changes result in Void Leech healing for a significantly reduced amount in PP, but for a similar amount as before outside of PP. Void Leech heals every 3 seconds, was 2 seconds. Healing increased to 4% of max health, was 3%. Okay, it evens out once again. Void Leech healing reduced to 2% of max health in PP. Okay, I believe it was like 3%. Collapsing Void damage reduced by 10% in PP. Okay, so Shadow Priest is kind of getting a little bit of a nerf. Shadow Priest was kind of good. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, maybe not in arenas, but in solo queue RPGs, it was not that bad. Shami Elemental Ascendance now increases the damage of elemental overloads by 25% while active in PP combat. Was 75. Holy heck, bro. That overloads. That's our mastery. Huge mastery nerf right there. Lightning bolt damage increased by 10% in PP combat. Blizzard. No, I don't want to use lightning bolt. Screw you, dude. It's boring. Enhancement. Totemic whirling heart now increases flame shock direct damage by 150% in PP combat. Was 300%. Again, nerfing enhancement. Resto Druid, Resto Shaman healing wave healing increased by 15% in PP combat. Whoa, huge buff to healing wave. And then healing surge healing increased by 15% in PP. That's kind of huge. That's not bad. So if you're playing a Resto Shaman, you're gonna be happy with those changes. Warrior again. I cannot wait to see if those are actually buffs. Slayer. Culling Cyclone now increases Bladestorm's damage done by 20%. Was 10% per stack. Wow. So you might see those huge Bladestorm one-shots coming back. It sounds like Bladestorm is going to be back. I'm calling it. You guys need to reroll into Arms Warrior. Slam damage increased by 40%. On top of all those buffs that you've seen just before in this video. Crazy. Colossus smash damage increased by 60% in PP combat. Holy heck. Arms is going to be OP, guys. I'm calling it. Fury. Culling Cyclone now increases damage. Bladestorm's damage done by 20%. Was 10% per stack in PP combat. Okay, so overall, buffing Bladestorm. Fury's got a little bit of a buff. Honestly, I'm calling it. The best warrior spec is going to be Arms. I'm a billion % sure about it. Anyhow, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the subscribe button, share this video to your friends, and to not miss out on any news that's coming up to World of Warcraft and the War Within. So thanks up for watching. This was CYGAqvgeoHLefPLb. Stay awesome, gentlemen. Take care.